And welcome back. I've got some bad news. Videos will be on hold because I am studying, and when I'm studying, I study crazily. So anyway, here's another Rome to the War 2 multiplayer battle for you guys to watch. We'll start with the enemy team because I like keeping my army for last. You see they had a real mixed deployment, and you see that their tactics were pretty ruthless. Especially with the Spartan here with his bloody catapult. Now the money in this match was ridiculously high. You can probably see just due to the line of royal feckin' Spartans. They don't wear shoes, but they got capes. And by goodness, these guys' armor, it's better than a legionary's. And they will just stand their ground and whittle you down. It's what they do best. You see how annoying that becomes. We also have some heroes, but they're the exact same. Then we got citizen cavalry, pretty average for the Spartans. Spartan skirmishers are not the greatest, so the Percular are the best they can get. For the Egyptians, we have some 4-axe pikemen. I don't particularly like pikemen, mind you, but the 4-axe are okay if used correctly. But to back them up, he's got Galatian royal bodyguards, so they're obviously to cover the flank. The Egyptian brought an actual cavalry force, so we have some light lancers, Pontlomatic lancers, and 2 units of Egyptian cavalry on either side. No, we do not. The Massalians brought up a rather more heavy-hitting contingent. The Pierce Lancers, cheapest lancers you can get in the game. Pretty damn good for the Greeks. Then we have Tarentine cavalry for the Spartans, along with more citizens. Now, our deployment. So we'll start with here. Barbarian factions tend not to do well in meta anymore, due to the fact that formation fighting doesn't let them have the advantage. Like the barbarians, they run in, they kill, they hack at people. But they can't. Due to kill animations, they can only tackle one guy at a time, which forces them to line. So he brings up a lot of heroic nobles and spear chosen. These guys make their money. The cavalry was pretty misused in the battle. Like, he's got a lot, like hitting cavalry, Britannic scout riders, heroic riders, veteran, chariots, Britannic chariots I don't find all useful. They can be, but they're not as good as the other nations, but that's due to size. And Levy Freeman. Pretty disappointing. The volume's pretty low. The Macedonians bring literally a Macedonian themed army. Like, this is Macedon written. A long line of phalanx, Saurus lances, impenetrable formation backed up with hard. Well, he didn't actually have any cavalry, but to make up for it, he did bring shield bearers. So yeah, they were pretty good, along with Peltasts. Light Peltast, very different. He did have Thessian cavalry. I personally, if I was going to use this army, I would use it in a siege battle, because it's not mobile whatsoever, but it's great for holding the center line if your allies hold rank. Then we have my army. He had another unit of Thessian cavalry. On the front rank, we have my bronze pikemen. Yeah, they're half decent. They do the job. Best pikemen you can get for this faction. And my strategy was, I'm gonna let the pikemen take the blow, then flank around with the Pontic swordsmen, whilst the archers handle any opposition. And then we have Pontic Peltasts. Pretty damn good. I mean, like, I had money, so I bought them. Then we have my heavy cavalry. Like, I brought the most cavalry and I use it the most. But in a battle like this, I can't really use it due to the lines and that, because they can spread it all across. So I brought all Pontic Royal Cavalry for the heavy hitting, mercenary horse archers for just detailed skirmishing, and then Canto, whatever their name is, Cappadocian heavy cap, so if, say, the lancers got stuck, these guys would run in right after and they would beat the lancers head on, due to the lancers only using knives, and mercenary Celtic riders to help pursue any units down in battle. I also had another wing up here, and I had my mercenary Scythians scout out the place. Now I'm firing off a few shots just to try and see what the Spartans are doing. Now the Egyptian runs down and meets me with his bowman, which is quite an interesting thing, and, well, they just take up defensive positions. Like, you can't really blame them, right? So, here's a pretty detailed view of my horse archers. Brilliant mustaches, by the way, guys. Yeah, so you see the Spartans got the high ground. Like, I could attempt to flank the Spartans, but that's not going to be possible. Like, if I move my entire cavalry ring around, they could just corner it as it went over here. With some infantry, and they have these heavy onagers just bombarding us all the time. Now you see the Spartan will employ a pretty ruthless tactic, but I had no choice left. Because otherwise my ally, the Macedonian, would have never broken through this formation. Like, there's some Hellenic mixed in, so it's really deceiving. Jude and the Britons moving. Now the Macedonians moving scouts up, pretty wise of him. But you see, Britain's players micro ain't the greatest, as he launches a direct assault. Over here we have some levy freemen. The Massalians obviously see the Britons and they're like, okay, we gotta stop them. So that's pretty good on his part. He done a good job. On average, my front really, we're having a mass cavalry battle. Like, it started off with the Massalians sending their parties in, and then I charged up with my with my Celtic light mercenaries to take the brunt of the attacks, and then Royal Pontic cavalry just constantly hitting the rear. Now, you're probably wondering, why isn't the Spartan moving? I mean, like, it's a perfect opportunity for him to sweep down and kill all my cavalry. Like, this is a good amount of damn cavalry you could kill. And with pikemen moving in, my line's weak. But the reason why he doesn't move in is because he wants me to be weakened by this. In which I do. Like, this was pretty heavy fighting. Like, despite being lightly armored, charged in the rear and all that, they still put up a bloody good fight. I got my light mercenary horse archers, a brilliant way to pursue enemy units, like skirmishers, because they can shoot on the move. I try and pin out these onagers, but the Spartan finally moves in and counters me. As you can see, he's not really caring about friendly fire either. Egyptian cavalry pull back behind the lines, only to recharge in. I would have been withdrawn. Because this guy was so paralyzed in fear and death, I thought I was going to crash there, that he died levitating. And this guy's like, I don't know what to do. So you see, the battle's not going well. Like, the Massalians, they got daggers against Cappadocians. The Egyptians are better suited, though. I say that, and then we see one dying, and a rock hits more and more of our guys. My general comes up, and, well, not much else happening apart from the cavalry here. Yeah, it's wreaked havoc. Like, they got the charge, Pontomate Cav. These are top tier cavalrymen, by the way. Their goal was to hit, but I doubt they expected the Britain to maintain such a large force in reserve. I felt you could have countered it around about halfway there, or at least the Macedonian. I don't know what was going on. We weren't really communicating at this point in the battle. You can see the poor axe warriors just getting pinned. But these guys, I did underestimate them. Like, I was moving up my guys to take the shots off of these peltasts, because I was like, okay, peltasts, worst of all, they got flaming shots. They're going to do a lot of damage against the phalanx. So I better soften up the phalanx whilst taking the shots. How do I achieve this? I throw javelins at the Hellenic Royal Guard. Well, a round of them at least. The aftermath of the cavalry battle left me severely depleted, along with these heavy onagers just thinning out my ranks. I had no choice but to go into the defensive stance here. Like, I couldn't flank round, because he had the second line of Spartans, which I just couldn't. So I was mostly dependent at this point on Punic. Flaming javelins, man, I don't like him. So the Massalian engages the Britannic forces head on. Now you can see that the battle doesn't really go well, because he charges all his forces into the one fight. And the Massalian wants to delay us, because it will not only give the Egyptians time to do more damage, it will give his Peltas more time to hit our main line. And it will most of all give the Spartans more time to win. Now you see, the Spartans aren't really attacking, they're just watching from a distance. Now I'm trying to gauge his cavalry. Like, I'm waiting for him to expose his cavalry to me. Because if I run in, I'm gonna get hammered. And you see, he's playing really rigidly. He's not taking any chances. He is moving in formation. There was no rows in this game, so that can explain onagers. Like, they're just, as you can see, they're just thinning out my ranks severely. And I can't counter them. And the Spartans are just standing on that hill. Which I'm not counting as camping, of course. Poor Scythians. They did do their job, though. So you see, the main lines are going to engage. Like, the Massalians are going with the pikes. And the Egyptians, yeah. Heavy fighting over here. Like, my Pontic swordsmen do some work. Like, they hit the flanks and that to help out the Macedonians. The Macedonians obviously wanted to help these guys out. I don't know why the Hippie is dismounted. But you see, the Britons are unable to make any progress. Like, the Massalian defense is too damn strong, even with Levy Freeman, Thorax swordsmen, the Axe warriors, holding ranks. Yeah, it ain't pretty. But they have to. They got no choice. They need to plow on and continue. They did send in a few dogs, though. I think they're pugs. Yeah, they're only good for chasing down units and hitting non-melee units. Poor things, though, but they done the work. See my Pontic swordsmen, I order them like, you're gonna die. I can't really tactically use you. So you see, the main lines have started to engage. Well, not started to engage. I started to pull back my forces here to take cover from the onager shots, because I'm getting rather tired of it. Thankfully, a skilled group of Peltasts deals with the Spartan onagers, and I think the Spartans wouldn't employ such cowardly tactics. The archers who ran out, I decided to use them to buy me time against the Peculo Peltasts. It didn't really work out. Over here, I had to commit my cavalry to stop the Britons, but it charged anyway. So I'm pulling back now. Like, screw this, I'm out. I can't do anything. Then this happens. The Britannic chariots, of course we go all the way over here, are charging uphill. Now, this was a really critical point in the battle. He could have moved through here. Very clear avenue, only thing to worry about are the Peltasts. No, he doesn't. More than half of his force, a good quarter of it, runs into these pikes. And he doesn't order them back. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You're running straight into pikes. And it's made even worse by the fact that instead of just hitting this, he heads for the Peltasts, which then the Tarentine cavalry comes in. What he should have done, in my opinion, was he should have used the chariots to chase down them. And once engaged, they could have then flanked round and annihilated. The veteran riders taking the blunt, of course. You see, the Britain's infantry force is still cleaning up over here. Like, every second they waste is another second that we could do well. And instead of hitting the main ranks, well, they did actually, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, the pike fights became rather horrible. Like, pike formations, if you don't micro them correctly, they're just gonna hit you. You see, also some of the foot companions have swords instead of pikes, so that's pretty dumb. See my Pontic swordsmen still in there. There's like 45 of them left. And they're just trying to do their best. Soften up the Galatian guard, but nah. You see, I've had to abandon this entire side to the Spartan. And now his cavalry got mixed in with the Spartan pikemen. Of course, they're not actually a problem without their pikes, but the royal Spartans are. And I'm being forced to pull back, rearrange my ranks, and just, by God, what were these guys doing? And just hope for the best. You see here, it's still pretty fierce fighting between Peltas and Peltas. And yeah, these guys somehow managed to sneak through. my guys didn't put down their pikes either, so it made the situation worse. Lots of casualties there. See my Scythian cavalry just doing their best with their hunting daggers, trying to kill as many of them as they can. But the Britons are finally freed. They may be exhausted, but their might will break the Massalian lines, along with my heavy cavalry. Anyway, back to the situation. I have my Pontic like, screw this, you guys are dead. And the cavalry force is just too insignificant. Like, the Spartan now has control over this side of the field, and there's nothing I can do about it. Like, I'm taking heavy casualties, and I can't do anything. Most of my forces at this point are being committed to assist my allies. Like, my cavalry force was very efficient and very mobile during this game. In the later stages, when they were weakened, of course. Like, I have my Cappadocian hunting down Hippeus. Hippeus dismounted in combat, of course. It didn't really matter. And you see, we're just hunting down the last of the general. The general pauses. Oh no, actually, where's he hitting? Oh, my Cappadocian. You see, once he gets tied down, he gets killed. But you see, due to the Spartans sitting out of the conflict, I know I left him, but I had no choice. The onagers and archers would have just pinned me because I didn't have the manpower to assault him head on. He would have just flanked me with the second force anyway. Because Royal Spartans, my Pontic swordsman may be good, but that's not where Pontic strength lies. The Britain could have sent these reinforcements all over the line. Sent them to one place. Didn't like that. And you see, the Spartans, they did launch an assault on my defensive formation, but they knew they weren't going to get anywhere. So they changed to arrows, which thankfully their archers are still stocked up on. So at this point, I was like, how are we going to do this? Like, we don't have enough men. Our men aren't rested. The Spartans are rested. They are fully equipped. They know what they're doing. He played very tactically. But I couldn't have assaulted them anyway. Royal Spartans are OP. Just saying. Because once you get to a certain limit, like, I think there might be a limit on Royal Spartans. Like 300 or something. But, jeez, it's just ridiculous. Like, you see this armor they have? Like, let's look here. These guys have none. They're pretty much the same apart from the unit sizes. They're just too damn good. Especially when you get to this points cost. So you see the Pontic general retreats. The Egyptians are in full retreat. My guys, I can't do much. Like, I have to stand my ground because there's just too many volleys. Yeah. Well, I was thinking about coming to save my guys with my Royal Pontic Cab and Cappadocian. But then I realized there's just too many. And there's Tarentine. You see, the tide of battle is not in anyone's favor. Like, what remains of my men are being hunted down. We lost a lot of guys here due to arrow fire. And the Spartans ain't lacking it. Soon enough, we clean up the center. The remains of the enemy army, and now the battle is even. But at this point, I think that meter's lying. Like, all these Spartans are fully rested. Like, there's a lot of them. They have plenty of arrows in their quiver. And may I ask, that's not how you shoot a bow. Because you ain't pulling back the string you're running. You see, now they're firing it the right way. They fire on the right. They fire on the right side, so you could actually look down the bow. What remains of the Brittonic chariots now engaged the Ptolemaic Hippeus lancers, and we were like, okay, want to go and retreat into the forest? And the Macedonian, for some reason, thought to himself, I won't be able to make it. Spartan will be able to catch up to me. Spartan's not even moving. He's firing a few parting shots. And my cavalry is like, well, what remains of my force is this. That's it. Like, I lost that many men helping my allies here. Yeah. I mean, like, I did help clean up 2 armies with them. I mean, like, I carried out a decent amount of work. My cavalry hitting the rear and all that. And then the Macedonians, like, no, they're going to catch up to me. They're going to catch up to me. Which, to be honest, they wouldn't have. Oh wait, they did have it. He should have sacrificed one unit. But instead of sacrificing one unit, he sacrificed his entire army. As you see, the Macedonian then starts reorganizing his men to hit the Spartans. And I was like, yes, I believe your stand was heroic, but I would rather have 100 live men to fight with against the Spartans than 200 dead. Because now there's no point in fighting the Spartans, because now they are too many and too skilled. So basically, we're just going to fast forward here. Because this is part of the battle where it's just a mop-up operation, basically. Like, the Macedonians are too few in number, they're exhausted against fresh Spartan reinforcements. Yeah, they ain't gonna stand. Like, the Spartans have done their work. Like, their allies just blunted us, and I had to help the Breton player because he wasn't fast enough. And now we're just going into retreat mode. Like, we're conserving our forces. We still have a few cavalrymen. The Britons are still strong, but the Macedonians are dead. And due to the Macedonians dying, the balance of power goes significantly in the Spartan favor. Despite them causing a few casualties, wouldn't you agree that it would have been better if we organized resistance? The Spartan would have walked in a rigid, organized manner with, look at that, look at the no cavalry. True, his second rank would be unbeatable. We would have at least killed the entirety of the first. And now the Spartans are just hunting and pursuing all Macedonians down. Thankfully, those foot companions and hoplites who fled early escaped. No more Macedonians were harmed in the making of this video, by the way. My guys are just stealthily watching. They are being scouts. I know I should have used cavalry, but this was the best opportunity to get them rested up. And if the opportunity arose, hit the Spartans in the rear. Sadly enough, he does walk in my general direction pretty rapidly. However, the Britons are getting some much needed rest. Like, now I'll start approving of their tactics, but they could have done a lot more effective earlier. Levy Freeman. Wait, Levy Freeman. I just hate them. So you see that the remains of the Britons are getting healed up. They're resting, preparing for the next fight, even. You see that my Pontic swordsmen, I decided to try and use them as skirmishers. But, you see, even though they are very heavy swordsmen, they're outnumbered and heavily outskilled. Actually, yep, heavily outskilled. Despite their weapons doing more damage. And significantly lower charge bonus. And the Briton decides that this is the time he should reveal his hand. As the Spartan units are hunting me down, this was just a scouting party. I decided to wait till the Spartans committed a little more. No, actually. The Spartan tries to retreat to his comrades over there, the Spartan pikemen. For some reason he doesn't put these guys in the pike formation. But even though he's willing to use onagers. So he's retreating full mass to his main force. It's not happening. The Britons catch up. Levy Freeman and light infantry catch up. And then we just start to flank. We do manage to kill a good amount of them. This cavalry comes rushing in. Try and get some flanks. My guys just stand there like, okay, we're going to hold formation here. We're going to stop any cavalry movement. But I didn't notice that my ally was moving in men. And plus I thought I could catch them out with my cavalry. My Cappadocian runs in. They're going to cause heavy damage. But you see what remains of my Pontic swordsmen? They're trying their best, but they ain't going to hold. The Britons are hitting the Spartan lines head on. And it is gruesome, like heroic nobles. Yeah. When they activate headhunt, by sweet mother of God, you just want to stay away. Like, these Spartans have been trained from birth, but they're still getting wrecked by the Britons. Let's find a few instances like this small breach here. The first Breton man to make it through enemy lines. I believe due to outkill animations, it really does stop some individuality, I feel. Like, every unit can't fight anymore. And you see that my Hippeus Lancers also help. Well, my Hippeus Lancer, my Royal Cavalry with Lances help. And my Cappadocians clean up. But you do notice that the Spartans haven't even committed the second rank of men. Thankfully their archers are out of ammo, but I failed to notice. But their javelins do not lack. Trust me, that was annoying. And trying to kill these Spartans was just becoming a pain, like cavalry charge after cavalry charge in the back just didn't have an effect. Oh yes, they're now losing, but each time I do one of these cavalry charges, at least one cavalryman dies. You see that my general, I lost him at this point. 9 cavalrymen just trying to hold back. This many, yeah. Over there you see a similar engagement going on. Due to numbers, the Spartan Terran team will win. We'll watch this guy fight. Cappadocians coming in to help him. Do flip over a few archers, mind you. But you see the battle just becomes very bloody. Like the Spartans are still fighting over there. This is a problem. Like formation attacks just way too powerful. Because the Spartans are keeping in formation. Well, yes, they're slightly getting overwhelmed, but this is only 1 or 2 instances. And the barbarians can't use this to their advantage. And due to single kill animations, the barbarians can't add in their attacks. It's only 1 barbarian at a time. So, in theory, yes, they're winning right now, but the fresh Spartan troops over here, annihilate them. And plus, my cavalry falters at this bit. Like, the Spartans bring up their second wave, they're more elite troops. Yes, they do have more elite troops, I know it's shocking. You see the Tarentine and Capricocian settling an old debt, like who's better, skirmisher or heavy cav. And you see that the Cappadocian are just like, no, get away, just get away. Somehow it still counts as the Tarentine still winning, even though the Cappadocian hasn't even lost a man yet. Now they lost a man. In return for about 5 Tarentine cavalrymen. But note this, that they did kill a lot more units. So yeah. You see this you see these guys are just holding. You just can't win against them. Spartans haven't even committed the second rank. And now you see that these guys, they're gonna win. A few Cretians still getting off shots, so not many ammo. Oh god. Oh god, yeah, that was just horrible. And it just wasn't ending well. Like, they form up shield wall to increase their defense, but it was all over at this point. He's gonna make a last stand. We were all talking like, yeah, we could have done this better, we could have done that better. Nice game though, and we were complimenting the Spartan. I mean, like, to be honest, it's not a bad strategy. Standing outside the conflict zone, letting everyone else take the hits apart from you. Very good strategy. But there is a problem to it. Your allies tend to hate you. I mean, like, trust me, they do hate you. Because you let them die. You had the perfect opportunity to assist their cavalry force that could have came handy later in the battle. You stood there and died. Look, these gentlemen are still phased by that fact. But you see, it was a bloody battle overall, both sides. Like my cavalry just not having the room to maneuver against the Spartans. But you see, very few Spartans remain. Both sides are resting up for the final fight. The barbarians are remaining hidden in the forest, of course. Reason why? They don't want to move. They want to rest up. They want to beat the Spartans one-on-one. And you see that now they are ready to fight. They're just fresh, yes. But they're ready. And they're like, okay, let's do this. You see the first Cretan unit peek over. Like the poor archers are like, okay, we'll pay you extra if you survive this. And they're like, yay. The Cretan mercenaries just... I think the Spartan overcommits. Like, these guys don't even have any ammo. So they're not gonna fight. It won't hold up even for a second. But then the Spartan reveals his hand, whilst his enemy charges in. What he could have done, in my opinion, because the Spartan looks like he was concentrating on one unit. Send one unit counter them, then you could have flanked round again and again, even if he had Tarantine. But you see this bit becomes just a brawl. Like, neither side is going to give up. You can see that this becomes one of the bloodiest battles you'll ever see. Britons beat Spartans, both warriors, very high class, very powerful, chosen for war. And they're just, stabbing one another. See the Spartans just walk through. We have some Spartan heroes due to the helmets. See, they have a different helmet. Very different helmet. Appears our Britain. Appears a multiple Britons are trying to fight, but they can't add in their attacks together. Apart from that instance. The Britons are holding up though. Like, their headhunt ability and that are forcing the Spartans to be very careful about this. Like, they know if the Spartans rush in individually, the Britons will just kill them. So that's why the Spartans have to maintain a formation. They have to stay in it. But due to formation attack, units are also harder to flank, because they'll always remain in a formation. They won't be phased, they'll just go back to their points. You see here, however, the Britons are holding rank. They're trying to best the Spartans, but they know that they can't win. But they ain't going to dishonor their tribe. You see them fighting there are just, oof, boy. Britannic nobles are not, like, they're more lightly armored than Oathsworn, mind you. But they make up for it in ferocity. They won't stand as long as the fight either. But you see that the Spartans are just, like, we go back out for a second. We see some Spartans losing decisively, but we see others winning. Like, it's very awkward, the situation, but once one starts to break, they all start to break. And due to the 4th unit of heroic nobles, yeah, they ain't gonna hold much longer. Like, it's a very bloody fight. Like, you see, they had to start from here, but now they're starting to take casualties. Fighting's down individually. Britons are taking steps back, which they shouldn't. If I was them, I would try and break through the weakest point and just envelop the Spartans, like these ones were doing. Tarantine arrive. To be honest, they ain't gonna make much of a difference. Like, the ones in the rear just stand back up, and all they have to do now is deal with some pesky cavalrymen. Which, not much bother, not much sweat. Heroic nobles, I think their general died at this point. But you see, they caused a bloody swathe up. They worked their way up to these royal Spartans to try and assist their comrades. But you see, some men are withdrawing, but now the Spartans just envelop the flank. Like, there's only 3 units remaining. They're not even strong enough to withstand the Spartans anymore. Well, they did nearly make, but look how low you have to get them. It's kind of ridiculous. I know the Britons had even less, but they're generals here. Well, they're generals there too. And you see, neither side, they both fought to the end. They were very bitter. But the players were all friendly and casual, shaking hands and all that, saying, well done, you done a good strategy. You sat out, let your allies die. I'm not disowning them. I mean, like, it is a very valid strategy. And the onagers and archers just really pinned down my lines. Like, if I had my pikemen, I would have won. Just saying. So we look at the deaths and casualties. We see he had the most. I had the second, which was pretty good. Pretty good. Most of my cavalry units felt I could have used these guys better. My infantry force really lacked, but creative criticism. And the Macedonian, he still killed a lot. So we had this guy, not going to say his name due to obvious reasons. He killed a lot. Yeah. What was the reason? Macedonian threw most of his forces right at him. And it wasn't a pretty fight. Ajax, he killed very little, but he was mostly supporting, keeping everyone at bay, and allowing the Spartans to win. The Spartans themselves, however, you see, they had very little units left, and these catapults definitely pulled their weight. Although the first rank did get miserably massacred, so I hope you enjoyed this little update slash game video, and I, well, hope to see you later. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, and all that jazz, because it is 11:30 at night, and I have studying to do tomorrow, so I will see you later.